Talk the Talk podcast. Welcome. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into the real science behind making and breaking habits.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It really is.
Yeah.
And, it might actually surprise you, but something like, up to 70% of our daily actions,
Yeah.
they're driven by habits.
That's right. A huge chunk of our waking life, basically on autopilot.
So our mission here is to unpack the biology, how habits actually form, and then how we can consciously step in.
And give you some practical science-backed tools, things you can actually use.
Exactly. To build the habits you want and hopefully get rid of the ones you don't.
Mm-hmm. And, speaking of how long it takes, there's that common myth we should probably tackle right away.
Oh, the 21 days thing?
Yeah, that magic number, it's just not quite right. There is a key study, Lally's, back in 2010, that showed massive variability between people.
Variability, how?
Well, for the exact same habit, like, say, taking a walk after dinner, it took some people just 18 days. For others, it was up to 254 days.
Wow, 254. That's a huge difference. So it's definitely not one size fits all.
Not at all. It really highlights how different we all are. Some things just click, others take real persistence. Months, even.
So what's behind that huge range then? What makes it easy for one person and so hard for another?
A big part of it is something I call limbic friction.
Limbic friction, okay.
Yeah, it's that internal drag, that feeling of anxiety or tiredness or just laziness maybe that you have to overcome to do the thing.
Like an activation energy, the push you need to get going.
Precisely, yeah. Your personal activation energy. High friction means it's much tougher to start or keep going.
Okay, so reducing that hurdle is key. How do we even figure out our own limbic friction? Or maybe work with it?
Well, that brings us nicely to the idea of linchpin habits.
Linchpin habits.
These are the habits you actually genuinely enjoy doing. Because you like them, they act as leverage, they make other harder habits feel easier.
How does that work? Like an example.
Sure, so if you really love, say, cycling, that enjoyment, that passion can be a linchpin. It can naturally lead to better sleep because you're physically tired, maybe more alertness for work, even better food choices because you want to fuel your rides.
Ah, I see. So one good thing pulls others along. That's smart. So knowing this, what are some really solid science-backed tools we can use to make those good habits really embed themselves?
Okay, one tool that's surprisingly powerful is procedural memory visualization.
Sounds technical.
It's simpler than it sounds. You just mentally walk through the specific sequence of steps for the new habit, like really visualize each action.
Just thinking it through.
Yeah, even doing that just once significantly boosts the chances you'll actually do it later. It's like you're priming the pump in your brain's procedural circuits. Makes it easier to just act.
Okay, mental rehearsal.
Yeah.
What else? Beyond just thinking about it, how do we weave these into our actual day?
Right, so this is where task bracketing and understanding your daily phases becomes super useful.
Task bracketing.
Yeah, basically your brain circuits related to the habit get active before you start and linger after you finish. It creates this kind of neural signature. It's less about hitting a specific time on the clock.
And more about your state, like your internal state.
Exactly, your mental and, crucially, your neurochemical state. We generally cycle through 3 key phases in 24 hours. Phase 1, the first 0 to 8 hours after you wake up.
Okay, morning time.
Your brain's high in dopamine and norepinephrine, focus, alertness. This is prime time for your high limbic friction habits, the really tough stuff.
Like complex work or that intense workout.
Precisely. Your brain chemistry is already giving you a boost for effort.
Got it. Hit the hard stuff early. What about phase 2?
Phase 2 is roughly 9 to 15 hours after waking. Serotonin starts to rise. You feel a bit more relaxed, maybe less driven.
Afternoon, early evening.
Yep. This is better suited for those lower limbic friction habits. Things like journaling, maybe practicing an instrument, learning a language, things that require focus, but maybe less raw grunt.
Okay, makes sense. And phase 3?
Phase 3 is 16 to 24 hours post-waking, so mostly while you're asleep. And this deep rest phase is absolutely critical.
Why sleep?
Because that's when the brain does its rewiring. It consolidates the habits you practice during the day. Things like NMDA receptors are involved. You're literally strengthening those new neural pathways while you sleep.
Wow, so sleep isn't just rest, it's active habit building.
It really is deeply connected.
And you have a system to kind of pull all this timing stuff together.
Yeah, the 21-day habit system tries to structure this. The idea is to aim for maybe 6 new habits you want to try each day, but be realistic, expect to actually hit maybe 4 or 5.
Okay.
And crucially, if you miss a day, don't double up the next day to compensate. Just get back on track. Forget the missed day.
Right. No punishment.
Exactly. I suggest thinking in 2-day chunks for focus. Then, after the 21 days, you pause. You stop adding new things, and you actually assess which ones feel automatic now. Then you can decide about adding more. It's about building the meta habit of doing habits.
Okay, that covers building good ones. Let's flip it. How do we tackle breaking the bad habits, the ones we really want to ditch?
Right. Breaking habits involves actively weakening those existing neural pathways. It's kind of like neural pruning. A process called long-term depression is involved biologically.
Okay, weakening connections. How?
My go-to strategy is the immediate replacement strategy. Trying to just stop doing something, sheer willpower, is incredibly hard. Our brains don't like vacuums.
So what's the replacement idea?
When you catch yourself doing the unwanted habit, like, mindlessly picking up your phone, you don't just stop. You immediately follow it with a different positive habit.
So like put the phone down, then instantly drink a glass of water.
Yeah.
Or do like 5 quick flashcards.
Exactly like that. It creates what's called a temporal mismatch. It disrupts that smooth, automatic loop of the bad habit. It inserts friction, making it easier to catch yourself and choose differently next time. You're essentially rewriting the sequence.
That's clever. Interrupting the pattern.
It is. And finally, let's touch on dopamine again. It's not just about the reward after you do something. It's huge for motivation.
The drive to do it in the first place.
Yes. So to really cement a new good habit, you need to positively anticipate the whole thing, the effort before doing it, the action during, and that good feeling after. Frame the entire sequence positively in your mind.
So anticipating the effort too, not just the reward.
Right. This broader time envelope anticipation triggers dopamine, giving you the energy and motivation for the effort. You can't fool yourself, but you can genuinely focus on the whole positive cycle.
Okay, so wrapping this up, it really sounds like understanding our own brain wiring, this neurobiology, and using these kinds of practical tools gives us real agency, real control over these automatic behaviors.
That's the goal, to become a more conscious architect of your own daily life.
Absolutely. So a final thought for everyone listening. Considering what we've talked about today, what's one habit you might try to either make or break starting now? And what kind of ripple effect do you think that one change could have on everything else?